17 years after Paul Atreides seized the throne, his religious crusade has claimed millions of lives across the known universe. The Fremen Jihad, fought in his name, has transformed from a war of liberation into a galaxy-spanning slaughter. We see the physical cost of this reign on Arrakis itself. Once an untamed wilderness, the desert is now choked by asphalt roads. Director Denis Villeneuve spent 2 films building a sympathetic Chosen One narrative. He lulled the audience into a sense of heroic investment, knowing the 3rd chapter would force a confrontation with the reality of Paul's power. The ending of the 2nd film left Paul standing at the center of a political and religious movement he can no longer control. He is entangled in a system of his own making, where every choice leads toward an inevitable collapse. This shift is a direct translation of Frank Herbert's original intent. Herbert wrote Dune specifically to warn society about charismatic leaders, viewing them as a threat to the long-term survival of the species. Scholarly analysis suggests the 2021 adaptation focused so heavily on Paul's specialness that it obscured Herbert's critique of the Messiah figure. The 3rd film corrects that focus, presenting Paul's prescience not as a gift, but as a source of terror. Looking at the story through this lens reveals that the hero's journey in the first 2 movies served as a setup for a deeper exploration of the costs of absolute power. With billions dead and the galaxy in turmoil, the universe has organized into a sprawling conspiracy to remove Paul from the throne. Robert Pattinson joins the cast as Scytale, a face dancer from the Tleilaxu. This shapeshifter can physically mimic anyone, making him a threat Paul cannot simply see coming. Within the palace, Princess Irulan is working from the shadows. Despite her marriage to Paul, she remains loyal to her own house, plotting to destabilize the Atreides' reign from within. Even Chani has grown distant. She openly confronts Paul over the promises he broke to the Fremen while he was consolidating his power. Then there is Paul's younger sister, Alia. She possesses the same absolute prescience as her brother, but she must also navigate the voices of thousands of dead ancestors that live within her mind. Paul finds himself surrounded by people who have been forged into enemies by his own political and military choices. The conspiracy's most psychological weapon is the resurrection of Paul's fallen protector, Duncan Idaho. Known as a Gola, this clone has been given the name Hate. His original memories are suppressed, replaced by lethal programming that turns him into a sleeper agent designed to destroy the Atreides family. In the 1st film, Jason Momoa represented Paul's safety. In the 3rd, that same face is used to target Paul's grief, turning his past protective bond into a present threat. This move forces Paul to choose between his own life and the person who was once his closest friend. Paul is fully aware that the clone is a Trojan horse, yet his isolation is so total that he welcomes the Gola into his inner circle anyway. His prophetic vision is blurring. While he can see the eventual collapse of his empire, his power to see the immediate future is failing, leaving him blind to the exact moment the trap will trigger. The weight of the Holy War has left him psychologically paralyzed. He has lost the will to resist the fate he saw coming years ago. His prescience has turned him into a passenger in his own story, forced to watch his downfall unfold in real time. The plot reaches its climax when Hate's programming finally activates, compelling him to strike at the Emperor's family. At the last possible second, the loyalty of the original Duncan Idaho resurfaces, overriding the conspiracy's commands. This break in programming saves the lives of Paul and Chani's twins, Leto II and Ganima, ensuring a future for his bloodline that Paul himself can no longer see. Villeneuve has described this chapter as a tense and muscular experience. It is a story that refuses to give the audience a traditional heroic resolution. It leaves us with the core warning of the franchise. The charismatic leader we cheer for today can easily become the tyrant of tomorrow.